Oh, the camera's on. The camera's been on this whole time. Well, hi everybody. Just figured I'd pop on and say hi. I don't know why I've been streaming so much lately. If it's but it's just the way it is. It is what it is. It's got to get in those couple extra views. What was the old DSP one? Views, views, views. I don't want to be Mr. Views. Day one inflated views. It's funny because like a lot of his biggest donators were these guys who are obviously trolls. Uh, like one of them was Save That House, one of them was King of Hypocrisy, and one of them was Mr. Views. So let's see here. So just playing Diablo 4, so I just figured I'd come in and if anyone wants to talk to me, they can. If not, I'll just ramble on for a while. So yeah, so something I kind of wanted to talk about is the recent spat of elections that we had. There was the election in Virginia, the election in Kentucky, and a couple other different places where the Republicans just dropped the ball again. Like this seems to happen literally every time. Like this happened in 2020, this happened in 2022. This happened with the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, and now it's happening with this whatever the current thing is. And it just I you just kind of get tired of it after over time. And then the usual suspects are like, "Oh, well it was low turnout. Oh, it was this, it was that." It's just like if they're just completely incapable of getting the ball across the finish line, regardless of how like other circumstances, I don't like even know. I don't even think it is ethics in video game journalism. I think it's just incompetent, and like the Republicans suck in a lot of ways, but I think a lot of their voters are just too lazy to go out and vote, and they'd rather just like I don't know. Or maybe they're trying to make some like some big political statement by not voting. Who knows? It's rough, man. It's rough. But it's just like the Virginia thing. It was everybody got excited. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's going to be big." Now, to be fair, real American politics, I think, thought that they weren't going to take the Senate, or it wasn't going to be like as big as some people were saying. So to be fair to him, but even like when they don't predict that it's going to be a blowout, um, like as their actual prediction, their qualitative what they say makes it sound like they're going to win. Makes it sound like it's going to be this just massive, massive victory, and it never is, and it's always just fake and G slur. But that's kind of modern American politics. I'll say this: the NDP hasn't really been that bad so far. There's some pause stuff. Most of what they're doing seems to be like economic stuff. I don't think social issues are particularly important in Manitoba, so that's kind of nice. Yeah, so far it's just been like affordability stuff. So we'll see how it goes. There was a lot of budget cuts under the PCs, so that's going to be restored. I mean, everybody's any organization has kind of been in a state of complete chaos since the start of COVID. So it is what it is. Micro. Yeah, I mostly stopped playing StarCraft 2. I made it to Gold 1. I just didn't really want to. I just didn't feel like sinking any more time into it. It's such a it's I love it, but it's just such a stressful game. Like you have to be in like the right mood for it. You have to be like hyped up and just kind of ready to go, and just all this other stuff, and it's just a lot. But I'm happy that I was able to play like at least one online game ladder and actually like win and get somewhere. So the only other game I was like, I'm not good at StarCraft 2, but I made the gold, so obviously I was doing something right. But I was okay. I was actually decent at World in Conflict. I was actually ranked, I think, fairly high as an armor player. I think almost every game I was in, I would normally get like best armor or highest. I was just for whatever reason was really good at microing the tanks. It's really too bad like World in Conflict didn't go anywhere. That was a really good game franchise, or it had the like ability to be one. Like you could have done like used the similar concept for like a World War I or World War II game. That would have been cool. Just the seesaw tug of war type thing. I guess kind of Company of Heroes to a certain extent was kind of the build that role. Or at least Company of Heroes 1. I have to try Company of Heroes 3 at some point. 2 was just not very good. Serp and I tried to play 2 and it was just a disaster. The fact that there's still mods actively being developed for 1, I think tells you everything you need to know about how bad 2 is. The modern day mod was fun. It was super janky, but it was a lot of fun. The World War I mod was a lot of fun because I was playing as Britain and I was like just it's just jank, but I mean World War I was jank, so like what are you gonna say? Let's see here. Jank. If you wouldn't know Jank GF, and I meant Jank as in like JENK, not Chank as in like the Turk Roach, who thinks he can be president. That would be an interesting question. What percentage of the vote is he gonna get? Like, I wonder if he'll even break 1%. I wonder if he'll even qualify. I don't even know if they're gonna have debates. Would he even qualify for the debates? I want to see Chank debating Joe Biden. That would be amazing, though. That would be pure Kino and I need to get Restream up so this also goes on Twitch. I doubt I'll ever get many people on Twitch, but I mean, I think Odysee has streaming, doesn't it? I'll just figure out how to stream to multi-platforms. It's always good to build up on a couple different ones. I've managed to mostly automate it, so I think my Rumble is automated now as well as my Bitchute and my Odysee. So, can you stream? I think you can stream on Rumble. Like I said, I'll just have to get like one of those like multi-streaming services, so we can go to all of the above.
I'm low on precious mana.
That's what she said. Although I guess in that case it would be your low on precious mana, if it's what she said.
I lack the needed mana.
Views. I don't want to be Mr. Views. What else is going on? I think the next... I want to do a review. I'll probably do it maybe tomorrow or Monday. I kind of want to do a review of this anime I've been watching. Slash, actually, now they have some audio, some light novels on Audible, like light novel English translations on Audible, which is kind of cool. So I've been watch. I watched this anime a year or two back, and I really enjoyed it. It's called the Saint's Magic is Omnipotent, and season two's out. So I've been watching season two, and then there's the light novel series is also out on Audible. So I've been listening to that too. So I've really been enjoying that. It is maybe the most. It is one of the most aggressively shojo things I've ever seen. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I often, to be honest, like shoujo more than shonen. Kind of like just the whole wholesome nature of a lot of it. What I found is like the easiest way to tell if something is shonen or shoujo
Once again.
is if the main character is male or female. If the main character is female, I think it's basically always shoujo. If the main character is male, it's basically always shonen. That is what I found, and it's generally true. Seinen is not that doesn't apply to. So I find like you can have female main protagonists in seinen as well as in shonen, but
I'm low on precious mana.
the difference between shonen and seinen I just find very difficult. I kind of it's a bit like pornography. What's the expression? I don't know how to define it, but I know it when I see it. That's kind of how I feel about uh, shonen and shojo. Hey, tube guy, it's nice to see you, man. I'm just on here rambling on about shonen and shoujo manga. So just as a man who's very much in touch with my masculinity. But no, the Saint's Magic is Omnipotent is really nice. Probably one of the better romantic ones I've watched. In terms of like, I should do a top 10 most wholesome list. Like, it's rough between Over the Moon for You and Taisho era Fairy Tale, which would win like the category of the most wholesome anime I've ever seen. I mean, those are both pretty high up there. But,
My savior.
I'm sure there's some other stuff. Girls in Panzer is pretty wholesome. The Saint's Magic is Omnipotent is pretty wholesome. I don't know. I was flock posting earlier on the Discord server. God bless Flock. He wasn't the hero Eldia deserved, but he was the hero Eldia needed. I actually never understood that. Like, what is the hero we need and the hero we deserve? It doesn't. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I need to look that up at some point. Like, what the difference is between the two. I guess it means the hero you deserve is like better than the hero you need, but it could also go the other way. It could be like the people don't deserve salvation, and so it's the hero that they need even though they don't deserve him. Yeah, Berserk well, unironically, Casca and Guts' relationship is pretty wholesome. I like how it was heading in that direction. Like everything was going good. Guts and Casca were finally together. Guts was becoming head of the Band of the Hawk. Everybody loved him. Things were going great. And then Griffiths just had to come in and fuck everything up. Um, in typical Griffith fashion. Something I do find really funny is that Ganishka was so evil that a substantial amount of the fan base were cheering for Griffith in his fight against Ganishka. Found Ganishka, they found Griffith less evil than him. Which I think that says something if you're so evil that people prefer Griffith to you. Something I do often wonder about Griffith though is if Griffith still like inwardly, like if in his internal monologue, he justifies all the fucked up stuff he's doing by virtue of him being the savior. Like that, he ultimately doesn't think that he's evil. That, like in extreme case, at the ends justify the means, and he's gonna build this perfect world. No, I know they're from the Dark Knight films. I just don't know like what it means exactly. Like it's a cool line, but I never really understood what it meant. Dark Knight's a great movie. Of all the movies I've been hyped for over the years, that one might be number one. Just in terms of how excited I was for the Dark Knight Return for the Dark Knight, I was so hyped. Um, it lived up to my expectations. I think the Dark Knight Rises is pretty good too. I don't know if people like think it sucks or whatever, uh, but I like it. Um, I think Dark Knight Rises was a much more ambitious movie than The Dark Knight. But I think that's like both a good thing and a bad thing. I think it tried to tell a much more complicated story with a lot more moving pieces and something that's if not more fantastical elements than not just the very like Dark Knight is very polished. There's a minimal waste of screen time and stuff like that. So, wherein on the other hand, I feel like with Dark Knight Rises, because it's ambitious and you have like going to different parts of the globe, and you have all these moving pieces with like Bane and uh, who else was there? There was Bane. There was Talia Ghul. You had him going to that prison in India or wherever it was. You just had a lot of moving stuff, but that's okay. I like Dark Knight Rises. I thought it was a pretty good movie.
You can still use these. Just
The Occupy Wall Street stuff was also pretty funny. Um, Probably wouldn't surprise anybody, but I was too socially awkward to be involved in any kind of protest. But I was a big supporter of Occupy Wall Street back when it was happening. Um, it's kind of one. You know how people say like the Democratic Party left you. That was kind of a case of it because I was supportive of it, like as a like get the banksters thing, and I still kind of hold to that opinion. But they kind of all cocked in the end, and were just like, we love the bankers. The bankers are awesome, and that's kind of like where Obama went, and that was like the reason I really kind of started to. I think it's one of the things that made me question things because the Tea Party was against the bailout, but literally everybody else was for the bailout. Obama was for the bailout. Bush was for the bailout. The GOP was. The Democrats were. So
I lack the needed mana.
hope and change. The audacity of hope. I never actually read that or Dreams from My Father. I read. I forget. Maybe it was Audacity of Hope. I read one of his books, and it actually just it pissed me off so much. It actually made me substantially more conservative. Um, because in it he was talking about how he didn't believe in popular sovereignty or natural law. It just he had a very arbitrary conception of how government should work. So it's just this kind of like this G slur empathy thing, whatever that means. I was talking to Serp earlier, so Serp doesn't think Obama's an atheist. He just thinks he's some weird black Christian. Um, which is interesting. I mean, to be fair, it's like black atheism. I don't even know if that's a thing. Like, it's just, it's very, very, very rare. It's like a unicorn. It's like finding a green conservative. Um, but, so. The Obama era. What a time to be alive. Oh, I remember how cringe I was back then. It was all on board the yes we can, hope and change, stuff like that. It's I think people forget like the Democrats have gotten a lot more radical on a lot of stuff. Remember back when like Clinton was like, I want abortion to be safe, rare, and legal? Like you don't there's not even the rare part anymore. It's like viewed as a an achievement the more that they happen to do. Just kill these guys and then work back. Abide by the community guidelines, going. So the war in Ukraine looks like it's gone from being bad to an unmitigated disaster. Russia's pushing pretty hard around Avdiivka, and from my understanding, if it falls, it's basically the center point of Ukraine's entire defense on that front. So I don't know what that'll mean exactly, but Russia's mostly surrounded it at this point in time. I think they're about 75% surrounded it. So we'll see how that goes. Something interesting will to see will how the Israel crisis affects Biden. I think it's actually probably like the Israel thing's probably going to hurt him because I think like the pro-Israel crowd are so psychotically and sycophantically like pro-Israel. They consider Biden's like actions to be basically anti-Semitism and anti-Israel. So I think that like he might actually lose Jewish votes over this. Arab Americans are also not going to vote for him, and you might go like Arab Americans who even cares. Well, it matters in Michigan, and Michigan's a swing state. So if a couple thousand Arab Americans don't bother to show up because of the whole Gaza thing, then that might be what pushes Trump over. Although it always comes down to the whole fortification thing. Let's see here. Where's I gonna go? On Nightmare at the moment. Bring the Dusty Daisy. Oh, okay, cool. All right.
Yes, step into my kitchen.
Gave me something. The staff. I don't know why the innkeeper, whatever his name is, has some random staff, but I guess it just is what it is. Maybe I'll go do the story quest for this season. Something I kind of hate and I kind of wish they'd fix is if you make a new character, it locks most of your warp points, and I just don't really get it. Like why they have to do it that way. I don't know. I just find it kind of annoying. Actually, I think this is where they have the three, like the super good summon one where it summons the boss that drops like 50 legendary items. So I'll go there first. Let's see what other autistic shit can we talk about. Today I was just thinking to myself once again how much of an unappreciated Chad Robin is. Like a lot of people make fun of Robin. They say he's G-slur. They say he's like the lamest sidekick ever. But at least in some continuities, Robin marries Starfire, and Starfire is like a 6'3" uh, alien goddess, and she's like 6 inch. She's like 6 or 7 inches taller than him, and just like gorgeous. So I think that makes Robin a Chad. I think if you marry like a woman who's taller than you, that just kind of makes you a Chad in general.
You saved my life.
Um, it makes you an alpha manlet. Link is a good example of an alpha manlet. I'm not sure if Malon's taller than him. Midna's definitely taller than him. I think Midna's like 6 or 6'1". Zelda, I think, is an inch or two taller than him. I mean, the ultimate alpha manlet is probably Levi. Um, he is like the textbook definition of an alpha manlet. But yeah, well, Robin's a Chad. Like, what are you gonna say? Anyone who like is in a relationship with Starfire is a king in my books. I've heard like it's really sad what I've heard about the new Spider-Man game because I was actually looking forward to it because I like would actually give the first one like a 9 out of 10. I thought Insomniac's Spider-Man was like it was incredible, and I really enjoyed it. But I guess like it just wasn't to be, and it's just shit. It's just garbage, and it sounds like it's the most paused thing. Someone was saying though that like they screwed up and they got the Puerto Rican and Cuban flag mixed up, which is amazing if true. I mean, it's hard to know. Like that's the problem with fake news is that could be fake news, but that also sounds like something that very realistically probably did happen. So. But I guess that's the best fake news. The best fake news is the news that sounds like real news. I'm gonna be honest, the term fact check actually triggers me. Like it actually makes me cringe and feel uncomfortable. I mean, what does trigger me? I guess you could say trigger is like you have a strong negative emotional stimuli to something. So I guess to say something triggers you is it causes a strong negative emotional stimulus when you're exposed to it. Um, uh, so like whenever I hear the term fact check, I just inwardly like
You saved my life.
feel nauseous. I feel like sick to my stomach because I just know it's going to be the worst thing possible. It's just like who will fact check the fact checkers is I think one of the great questions of our age. And the answer, generally speaking, is nobody. Nobody will fact check the fact checkers. I like the one that Jim did. Who will bully the bully hunters? So yeah, I still think like the Teen Titans, the OG Teen Titans show is like the greatest animated. Is it the greatest? Like what else is even in like contention for the greatest Western animated show? I guess like Avatar: The Last Airbender, maybe. I think Teen Titans is the best Western animated show of all time, and I will stand by that opinion. I think that's I think I'm in a lot of good company when I hold that opinion. As I've said many times, I think it solved a lot of my major issues with superheroes. Honestly, something I've never liked about superheroes, and I get that this is a core feature of them, is I never really liked the secret identity dual lifestyle thing. I always just preferred if they were just superheroes full time. And like a lot of the time, this the slice of life, not even slice of life, but just the depressing shit is kind of weird. I mean, Justice League Unlimited was good. Okay, that's fair. Justice League Unlimited is pretty good. I guess maybe Gargoyles. Gargoyles would be up there. Um, but no, I can't really think of anything I'd rank higher than Teen Titans. I think something an interesting. I think one of the most interesting things about it, and I hated this at the time, but as I've gotten older, I kind of admire the like them trying to do something a bit different. The second last episode of Teen Titans, more or less, was perfect. Like it ended with all the heroes together. They beat all the bad guys.
The needed
All
man.
the plot threads got resolved. Everything was like it was like one of the best endings of all time. And then you had the episode Things Change where Beast Boy finds that Tara's going to a high school and tries to like get her to come back and be a superhero again. And she just says no, and Beast Boy learns to let go of her. And I think at the time a lot of people didn't like it because they're like, well, we why are we ending on a downer when we had such a high note? And it's like, I guess the like the idea is that was like the last little bit of Beast Boy's character arc because that was his season. That was the season that was based on his character. Um,
I'm not ready.
so, well, I'll give them credit for trying to do something kind of mature and not just kind of going with just the like the perfect Hollywood ending, I guess. I don't really have any issue with them doing a Hollywood ending. I kind of feel like if you don't know what you're doing, I much prefer if you just go with something generic. Yeah, gargoyles did kind of get stretched out. It's just that's like the only things I can really think of
Councillor gave my
off
hammer
the top
better
of
than
my head
starting from nothing.
that could be almost as good. What else was there? Let's see. The new Olympians episode. Is that in Gargoyles or I don't know. It's I haven't seen that show in like 20 years. I should do a review of that. I need to sit down and watch it. Um, that was the obviously the show that introduced me to Keith David and how awesome he is. I'm always happy when people throw some work his way. Like he doesn't really star in too many things. It was nice that they gave him a role in the Mass Effect games. I enjoyed him a lot as was his name Captain Anderson in those. shows were there. Remember when Disney used to make like for every one of their movie series, they'd have at least
Out of mana once again.
I kind of admire. It's been a while, but I kind of admire like Xanatos. Like he just there's a rumor that if the castle was above the clouds, then the gargoyles would awaken. He just decided to do that because he was a rich asshole. He's like, what else am I gonna spend my money on? I'm just gonna literally transport a Scottish castle to the top of a skyscraper in New York. And like to be honest, I mean, like why not? I mean, it's kind of a based use of your money. I always liked Demona. Maybe that was weird. I always felt really bad for her. I always liked her. I think I had some Gargoyles action figures my parents got me. I think I had, yeah, I had Goliath and I think Lexington maybe. Remember the really small gargoyle was. I had him as well. I think it was like the Goliath that had the like stone on him. So like if you pushed a button, then who wants to ride a mechanical bull with you? It's an interesting question. There's like 120 guys, then maybe if there's 120 guys. It's kind of romantic down here. Oh, Bill. What a guy. This is your standard fuck party. No shoot, no shirts, no attitude. Condoms are allowed but discouraged. Oh, the gift. The gift. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, this is Diablo 4. I was gonna play it anyways, so I figured I might as well come on and ramble on a bit. And just, if anybody happens to be awake at this time of night. I don't think that exists. If none of you guys have ever seen them, I need to watch more of them. The DC animated movies are actually really good. I was kind of surprised, because Serp got us to watch The Dark Knight Returns, and it was really really good. Um, it was awesome, and then we watched The Death of Superman, and that was really good. I think I watched a couple others, and they're actually very high quality. I need to watch the Teen Titans one, the Judas Contract or whatever. But no, like it's weird because they're just like direct adaptations that are actually faithful to the source material, and are a lot more like mature and like well written than fucking Marvel movies. Maybe Marvel movies are finally going to be over because the Marvels or whatever did really bad. Um, I don't know. Just anything to get rid of the fucking Marvel movies. Like,
It is done.
they're pretty much like the worst things ever created by a human. they did make Red Sun. Red Sun was a DC animated movie, which Serp watched and he really liked.
Not while I'm in town.
What's for Lyman 10? British. Let's see. Repair my items. Everything's max upgraded. Have you played the other? Yeah, I played 2 and 3. I have not played 4. 4 is the only. Sorry, I have not played 1. 1 is the only one I haven't played. I guess there's also Diablo Immortal, if that counts as a Diablo game. Don't watch The Killing Joke or skip the first 30 minutes if you do. It's literally Batgirl, Batman, Girl Boss fan fiction. Did that actually happen? Because I've seen that clip. Did that actually happen in the comics? Or was that just something they like inserted for some reason? I'll try switching to that. Actually, that's a really good bonus too. Oh, they added it to the movie? Okay. Maybe I was wrong. But I mean, I guess it's at least like an attractive female and a dude, so that's something at least. I've never had like the like Barbara Gordon's okay. I just I'm a pretty hardcore Grace and Starfire shipper, so yeah. She gets in the way of that. Also, isn't she in Birds of Prey or some shit like that? That was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I forget if I even talked about Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey was like I can't even describe how bad Birds of Prey was. Birds of Prey physically hurt me to watch. It was that bad. Birds of Prey was just pure and total garbage. Have any of you guys watched Zack Snyder's Justice League? I'm kind of curious because I never saw it. I thought that the OG Justice League movie was truly horrendous beyond all reason. But I was hoping that maybe like it might be a little bit better, or at least so bad it's good.
Help! I'm begging!
Aquaman was really bad. Aquaman, like the villain of Aquaman was like this eco Chad. Um, his like so like the main villain of like Aquaman's plan is he wanted to unite all the like the like the sea tribes under the ocean. Um, uh, to destroy the surface world because the surface world kept like polluting the ocean. Like one of the things they do at the beginning of the movie is they take like all the garbage people have dumped in the ocean and just dump it on the beaches, and it's like this Chad guy and he's like, I'm gonna save the ecosystem and make Africa pay for throwing shit in the ocean. I'm just like, Based? I'm like, why is he the bad guy? Like, A, he's a Chad, and B, he's like trying to save the environment, which is pretty cool. I don't. Jason Momoa is a weird pick for Aquaman. I don't really get it. And I like Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa seems like a really nice guy. Um, I actually thought he was a pretty good pick for Duncan, Idaho. Some of the casting of the new Dune movie is kind of questionable, but I actually think that was a good pick. I think he did a good job as Duncan. I actually like Man of Steel quite a bit. Um, so I found out the parts of Batman versus Superman I liked were just because it was a direct copy of The Dark Knight Returns. Like literally everything I liked in it was just stuff that they stole from The Dark Knight Returns. So it was just one massive crib note. Also, why was Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor? Oh yeah, General Zod was base. General Zod was like, we must ensure a future for Kryptonian children. Um, him killing the council was amazing at the beginning, and imposing a military dictatorship. I love General Zod. What a king. He did nothing wrong. No, I like the Christ imagery for Superman. Uh, that was, I think, the most interesting part of, I think, those films was how it explored that a bit. Like the burden of being Superman. Like you're this all powerful being that people look to as basically being a god, but you aren't God. Punisher from 2005. I don't know, maybe not particularly. It's just kind of the burdens that go along with that, and the self doubt, because people are basically putting the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he has to try to make like the correct decision. But at the end of the day, he's still just some dude. He may be a superhuman dude, but he's still a dude. I also thought Amy Adams wasn't a terrible pick for Lois Lane. It was kind of different, but it was different, I think, in an okay way. I actually don't think what's his name was bad. Yeah, how did all the colonies die? That's the thing I don't get. Like how all the colonies got wiped out. Like where did their colonies? I don't know. They just disappeared, and the only person people who were left were in the Phantom Cell. Like Zod's coup made a lot of sense. There. I guess they also didn't have any other spaceships or stuff like that, so. Oh no, what I was gonna say, I thought Ben Affleck was actually pretty good as Batman. I don't, I think he was fine. Like I don't know if people just shit on him for the role. I didn't think he was that bad. I thought he did a good job of portraying like the Dark Knight Returns type of Batman, like the old tired guy who realized that his life's work has achieved basically nothing, and so he's gonna like make his big go out with a bang by killing Superman. So General Zod. Yeah, like I kind of am sad he didn't get more screen time. I actually really like Robert Pattinson as Batman. Um, Robert Pattinson is someone I've kind of warmed up to over the years, but I respect him a lot for having a lot of a range as an actor and for not being typecast as much as like he might have been. He does tend to play kind of the somewhat darker, brooding character, I guess, a bit, but he's in a pretty wide range of movies, and I kind of respect that about him. I actually think he would probably be my pick for Bond. I actually think he would be good um, as Bond. I've decided though that like it's time for the Bond movies to just end, and I don't want them to make any more. I just want it to stop. Like, I don't want there to be Bond 26 or whatever. It's over, boys. It's over. You guys proved with like No Time to Die that you don't have what it takes to make these films anymore. And No Time to Die, like the more I think about it, the worse it gets. Like I can't even imagine how paused the next Bond movie is going to be. Like, can you? I don't know. And they just take like a decade now to come out. Literally like a decade. They haven't even picked the next Bond yet. Like, how are we even gonna have another Bond film if there's no James Bond? I don't know. These are all good questions. Questions that they clearly did not come up with when they were making this. Speaking of girl boss, something that always kind of got on my nerves was all the people who were like complaining about Peach being a girl boss in the Mario movie. I honestly did like not get that impression at all, and I was kind of wondering like where people were coming from. Like some people were saying that she was like a trans character or something like that because she was super uh I don't know. I didn't think she was a dick to Mario. I think she was pretty nice to Mario. And even if like she's a princess, like she's literally like the sovereign ruler of a kingdom. Of course, she's going to be somewhat imperious, but I thought generally speaking, her and Mario had really good chemistry. I don't know. Of all the problems with that movie, I don't think like I actually literally don't get that, and I'm someone who will like call that stuff out, but I really do not understand that in the case of Peach. Especially once again when she's like the ruler of a kingdom. So it's like I guess Zelda's a girl boss. She's a ruler of a kingdom. I just think it's different. I think it's different if you're like bossed around by like a queen than if you're bossed around by just some random thought. But that's just me. I have a question for the chat. Is it still simping if like the girl that you're simping for is actually not mid, or is it only simping if the girl that you're uh if the girl's not mid, is it still simping? That's an interesting question. Um, like, or if the girl's like not a bad person, is it still like simping? Like you could argue that John in Attack on Titan is like a Mikasa simp, but I mean it's Mikasa. Can you really blame him? Like, at least he's simping for like If it isn't mutual, it's simping. Okay, I guess. Could we say then that it's at least it's like not pathetic? Like like Jean simping for Mikasa isn't the same thing as like Kazuya simping for Chizuru. So although is Mikasa like the rare example of a female simp? Yes, she is. And that just shows how much of a Sigma male Eren is. Like, everybody thinks Mikasa, other than maybe Historia, is like the most beautiful woman they've ever seen. And she's like trying to throw herself um, at him. And he's just like, no, Mikasa, I'm married to Eldia. I'm married to freedom. I do think part of it is that I think part of it could be that when Eren realized he didn't have much time left, he thought it would be harder on her if he did pursue a relationship with her. Um, so, a lot of the time it's not simping. I just like calling it simping because it's.
Bless you.
Can we all agree though that Kazuya is the biggest simp of all time? Like, I can't even think of how you could be a bigger simp than Kazuya. Maybe if you like consented to be a willing cuckold. Although Kazuya has an NTR fetish, so he probably would. I don't know. I made Fritz watch one episode of Rent a Girlfriend, and he like broke him. If it wasn't Shonen, Aaron probably would have left her Historia with the baby. I still think he's the father of Historia's child, and I'm gonna maintain that. Like, even if it's like, even though it's probably not canon. I think that makes sense. I kind of like the idea that like Historia was the great love of Aaron's life, and not Mikasa. But hopefully, Jean and Jean and Mikasa had like 8 kids.
I lack
Like,
the
can you
needed
imagine like the genetic material that those 2 kids had to like were made to work with? Like Jean is a Chad. The only reason he's not like the alpha of the group is because Aaron just mogs him. Because Aaron is Aaron. He would be the Chad in any other group, but he's just not because of Aaron. A lot of guys really like Peak for some reason. I don't really get it. Like, maybe it's just because we don't really see much of her. I don't get it. But a lot of people like her for some reason. No, Jean and Mikasa's children would be Quappas, thank you very much. And they'd be quarter Japanese Quappas, so they just basically be white to me. I'm gonna be honest. Um, I like how Mikasa in one of the specials has an 8 pack. I didn't even know an 8 pack was a thing, but I guess like when you work out as much as her, that's the case. I don't know if we ever. It would be nice to see her with long hair as an adult, or even just medium hair. That's one of like the most tragic things about the show. She cut her hair, but No, I think it was debated like whether people found Historia or Mikasa more attractive in the Scouts. I think a lot of people preferred Historia because she was a lot more feminine in temperament than Mikasa was. So, um, what was I thinking? Of course, there's always Annie. I hadn't realized how short Annie is. Annie is really short. I think Annie's. I think it's either Annie or Historia. I think is the shortest character. I maintain that Hanji being like an it is just a troll from the author. Hanji is very clearly a woman, a somewhat androgynous looking woman, yes, but I don't know. I like if people didn't tell me that Hanji like people thought Hanji wasn't a woman, then
It's
I would
locked.
have I would not have ever thought otherwise. Honestly, I think Hanji's kind of cute. I don't know if that makes me like a trap lover or anything, but I actually think she's fairly attractive. Hanji. The feel with no Ackerman GF. Like, why even live? They should use Levi as like part of a breeding program to produce like super Eldians.
I offered you power. Now you seek to steal it from me.
I love Flock though. Flock is just so awesome. He's just such an edge lord, and he's so campy. And he gives all these like Hitler speeches and stuff. Flock is amazing. I like how one person said that Flock's balls were the size of the Colossal Titan, and I agree. The fact that the Jaeger is set up like a monarchist fascist dictatorship in the aftermath of the rumbling is so based. I can't even like describe it. I like to think that they like restored Historia's power and she ruled as like an absolute fascist monarch. I actually like Kenny quite a bit. I thought Kenny was actually a pretty good villain. I like how they kind of went with a like a Wild West theme for him. Like he was kind of almost like a cowboy. Oh, okay. I hate the death explosions. Like this game is pretty easy in general. I do really hate the death explosions though. They do really get on my nerves. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna go drop this stuff off. Levi's squad. That feel with no Petra GF. I like how like the Global Alliance doesn't care like that Annie killed Petra. Does anyone like remember that that was just completely like overlooked? Like Levi's just like, okay, we have to ally with Annie. I'm like, well, Annie killed Petra. Annie killed like your entire squad. Well, that squad. I mean, Levi's been through a lot of different squads over the years, but like Annie killed, and they just don't give a shit. It's kind of funny actually, just how little of a shit they gave that Annie like massacred so many of their comrades. But I guess that's just like the way it is.
Better than starting from nothing. I'll keep my forge hot. Return soon.
I don't play hardcore because I'm not hardcore. But it is really annoying. I find it pretty annoying, to be honest. So, let's see here.
I offered you power. Now you seek to steal it from me.
Yeah, I do. The chain reaction you get out of the fireball passive is kind of disgusting. Just how many people it makes blow up in a row. Just look at the sheer number of kills you get from doing this.
It's locked.
Okay, let's hit. There's another legendary, so I'll toss that and then I'll go throw this. That's true. I guess Char did get. I think Char got. I actually have no idea. I haven't watched OG Gundam. I watched a little bit of OG Gundam. I like how people like Char so much. He just became like a character that showed up in basically every Gundam series. Uh,
Better than starting from nothing.
it's unique. Oh, keep that one for now. I'll keep that one for now. Yeah, Diablo 3 was somewhat hard on release. I don't really remember too much about it, but that does sound about right.
What's still got some good in it?
Actually, that's pretty. Yeah, it's not good enough. Hill of Meteorite.
What's left, you ask?
The rest of this stuff should probably get the things for it.
More there than I thought.
There is magic in all things. Let me show you.
Let's see. Oh wow, I almost am. I'm gonna have to get rid of some of these aspects. I'll probably do that later though. Because I want to go try to do maybe one more run of that. That special boss. You get so much worthless loot in this game. It's amazing. Okay, I'm just gonna wait around here until someone else comes and sets this up again. 10% non-physical damage. Let's do a lot.